Hey everyone, welcome to Catalyst Energies. My name is Dee. Thank you for joining me. I'm so grateful that you're here for this weekly astrology report. We are looking at the week of November 21st up to the full moon lunar eclipse, which is happening on November 30th, 2020. And this report is going to start with Saturday, the 21st, and we are looking at the first quarter square of the sun and moon after our new moon in Scorpio. The sun at 0 degrees Sagittarius, 0 degrees Pisces, and Venus is moving into Scorpio now. So at the time of this chart that we're looking at right here, we have kind of this really unique moment where we have the sun, we have Mercury, and we have Venus all in Scorpio, and they're all very equally separated, with the sun at the very last degree of Scorpio, Mercury now out of shadow in the middle of Scorpio, and Venus just now moving into Scorpio. The moon in Aquarius is going to finish her transit there, move into Pisces, and immediately square the sun. So the first quarter moon, when it squares the sun, is the ascending square. This is the crisis in action, and this is the first real conflict or challenge to the intentions we sent with the new moon, because the moon now is moving into a different area, and there is a lot of water in this week between Scorpio, with Mercury and Venus in Scorpio, the moon moving into Pisces specifically. Neptune is moving direct this week, okay? And the Kraken is going to be released. Now, I have no idea what that is going to entail necessarily, although we all have some ideas, unless you've been living under a rock or only watching certain mainstream news outlets. The Kraken, as a mythological character, was controlled by Poseidon or Neptune. So when Neptune in Pisces, in its home sign, as we can see here, stations direct, we are going to see a swell in the ocean of our collective experience. And by the time we get to this full moon lunar eclipse at the end of this particular week on the 30th, this is going to be a spewing of transformative, transmuting fire, right? This is a volcano spewing. And often not often, always with a full moon and a lunar eclipse, but specifically with the full moon, this is the moment halfway through the lunar cycle where the sun shines on the moon and gives us an opportunity to have a full reflection of what otherwise is hidden within us, right? The moon represents how we feel, our emotional landscape, what's going on in our intuition, in our subconscious. These are all aspects that influence a lot of how we act and the thoughts that we give our attention to. And in the full moon, we've had a chance to see what needs to be let go of in order to really implement the seed that we set with the new moon. Whatever those intentions were, there are aspects that need to be released. They need to be cleared away, and they're often buried within us, in our subconscious, in our feelings, things that we're holding on to, things we don't even really see. And so by the time we get there, it's going to be a spewing of transmutative fire. It's going to be like a volcano erupting. And with just days prior to that, with Neptune stationing direct, it's like the earthquake, the tsunami, and the volcano all within this small window. And the thing about a lunar eclipse is that it ripples, the energy ripples for months, because that full moon is distorted. The shadow of the earth is distorting the full reflection of the sun's light off of the moon. And so we don't actually get a clear view. And as much as this explosive spewing of collective truth, of values, of belief systems, everything that we defend as part of our collective experience. This is Sagittarius. Now, and I'm going to talk about this because Sagittarius is often characterized as truth, but it's our truth. It is personal truth. It's the truth based on collective values. This is why Sagittarius is the realm of the lawyer, because it's the spirit of the law. It is the truth about our collective values that we create as a result of our shared experience. Pisces, which is where this first quarter square is, which is where Neptune is the truth, right? Because it's the end of the cycle. It's the accumulation of all experience into this one field of consciousness. So it's all decisions, all choices, all actions, all feelings, all speech, all of it is in the realm of Pisces. This is where the karma accumulates and has to be faced and dealt with. And the 12th house in Pisces is the realm of dreams and imagination and compassion and universal love, unconditional love. But it's also the realm of martyrdom and victimhood, because there are no boundaries here. And with a moon here, oh wow, we are feeling everything, feeling our own feelings, feeling other people's feelings, engaged in all aspects of the collective experience on a very feeling-based level. And we are still leading up to that point. We're still with Neptune retrograde. We're still surrendering to this. There is a major transmission that is going to come through again when Mercury is in a trine to Neptune. So we'll get to that. I'm going to go through the week day by day. We'll look at the transits. But when this lunar eclipse happens, remember that what we need to see in order to release is going to be distorted. And I will say, because the moon is in Gemini, so there's this spewing of energy, and there is a sense of responsibility to save people and to get them up to speed and teach them what is necessary to know about these collective values and the social experience, right? Because we're not talking about nature. When we get to Sagittarius, we're talking about the human ability as a result of our collective experience to conquer nature in some ways. And with all of this spewing of fire and transmutation that is coming, right? Because that is the essence of this lunar cycle, is the phoenix rising and where it goes, right? It's one thing to rise from the ashes, and Sagittarius represents the actual burning, the transformation in the fire, the cleansing, the purification to get to the value system, the belief system. And it's where we go from here that is really the essence of this lunar cycle. And so we will really want to express ourselves through this assistance and helping people, saving people, getting them up to speed. But the reason we're here, which is what we are not going to see clearly, is because of our own mental, our own individual drive to conquer, right? That is how we are getting into this space. And that dynamic is going to ripple out for months, because we are not going to get a clear view. So if you remember the last lunar eclipse that we had, it was June 5th, and it was the opposite, right? The sun was in Gemini. So we were expressing ourselves through this bifurcation, this standoff. And that was right after George Floyd's death was broadcast to the world, and all of these protests and actions erupted, right? And people started really squaring off with each other. And what we did not see, but what was emotionally very much there, was this concept that our animal drives, right, will take the easy route. We will take the meal presented to us, rather than, if it's there, we will do it, rather than seek it out ourselves. And wouldn't you know, that has been the case over time, over the last 6 months. So this dynamic, again, with the lunar eclipse will be the same, except it will be reversed. So now in this time of year, I mean, the sun is in Scorpio every time this year. So this is not new, but the lunar eclipse, we are going to want to assist people through this process. And what we are not going to see is that we got here because of this. Right. And this is what we need. This is part of the collective evolution, because that is where Gemini and the North Node is. So it's very karmic. That is what the eclipses are always karmic, because they involve the nodes. So hold on one second. I'm going to pause this until they stop using their chainsaw. Okay. If I never hear another leaf blower again, it'll be too soon. Right. I get it. I was a professional landscaper. I understand, but and I would listen to people's content at that time, and they would complain about the leaf blowers, and I was just like, I don't understand until now. This is what I'm doing, and I'm like, what? How do you know? How do you know exactly when I record that is the moment? It's dark out, but you're using your leaf blower. That's great. Anyway, here we go. So the lunar eclipse spewing, right? It is the volcano erupting. Okay. And what we're not going to see, and what is going to reverberate out for months, is the fact that we in effect have put ourselves in this position as a result of our mental conquest, our almost aggressive nature to conquer with our minds. And like I said, this is very karmic, because the North Node is here in Gemini. This is unavoidable. This is where we need to go in order to evolve. But what we're going to spend the next couple of months really feeling that aggressive mental energy just impacting so much of what we're doing, especially with the North Node in Gemini. So in the meantime, before we even get to that point, we have the first quarter moon squaring the sun. So even before that, let's start looking at the chart here. The moon is in Aquarius. It is going to trine the north, speaking of the North Node, trine the North Node, sextile the South Node. Now remember, Sagittarius is the South Node. This is where we've been. This is our karmic history, this transmutation, the fire of transmutation, the alchemy, the collective values, the belief systems, the truth, the spirit of the law. All of this stuff is the Sagittarius ninth house aspect, right? Ruled by Jupiter. So the moon in Aquarius coming into trine the North Node, trine is very supportive. It's very balanced. They support each other. And the thing about Aquarius is that we hold the water, right? The depth of emotion moves through us, but we do not identify with it in Aquarius. If we allow it to work for us, it moves through us. And that is the coherence that we engage with in Aquarius. So emotionally, especially with the moon, we can be detached, but also at the same time, the emotion moves through us. Remember, Aquarius and Uranus specifically are about electricity, and water is a conductor of electricity. So this is the power of energy, electricity is able to move through us when we have the water within us. When we have the emotions moving through us, we can engage with things, but we don't have to necessarily identify with those emotions. That's how we can say detached. So the moon trining the North Node, this is really the chance to buck up, right? We can still look forward and still be courageous in the face of what we are feeling as disappointment and disillusionment. And that is across the board right now. Many people I know personally have reached out, and if you just go online, people are also experiencing a lot of disillusionment. There's a disappointment, they're confused, and they don't see any way out. And so this ability to really to step up regardless, of that, is really going to help us it's really in line with the North Node, because the North Node is the emotional outburst that is inevitable as part of this individuation process. As we have one side, there will always be another side in this dialectic. And if one side is out of balance, the other is going to meet it somehow. And this is disruptive in our minds. If we are each individually and emotionally able to, look up despite this disillusionment and this disappointment, this is really going to be supported and supporting where we are headed for our evolution, because this is not easy territory. Gemini is not easy territory. And then in a sextile to the South Node, this is just really using the momentum of the South Node, of this transmutation energy, of the collective values, the belief systems that we all engage with as a result of our collective experiences, the beliefs. Religion and philosophy fall under Sagittarius, but it's really about our collective value system and the truth in terms of how we all identify truth together. This is really going to, if we can anticipate this higher evolution, if we can anticipate this transmutation that will move, lead to manifestation. Again, this will really help us, I think, be able to face this disillusionment and disappointment, to step up into ourselves in the face of this. Okay, this is a really difficult position to be in, but absolutely necessary for moving forward, because if we give up now, there's no going forward. We've given up then. So then we move forward to today, and this is when the moon, or the sun, moves into Sagittarius and then squares the moon in Pisces. So, and that's actually going to be much later in the day. As a matter of fact, it's going to be, here, we'll look at it here. Hello, there we go. So we go into Sagittarius and the moon in Pisces. So Pisces, again, is the full collective experience. And in the first degree with the moon, we are emotionally connecting to all of the possibilities of actually, being able to go to it's like a farmer's market. Okay, that first degree of Pisces, everything that we have done, all the work that we've put in, all of the aspects of a collective process that have yielded something. Pisces is like yielding, all of the yield. It is the time when when the cycle is coming to an end, and that's why it collects all of the karma, all of the choices, all of the feelings. It's all here. And when you go to the farmer's market, this is your opportunity to actually, engage with everything that has been collected at this point. And so emotionally, the challenge here is that the sun, representing how we want to express ourselves, their fullness, the blossoming of our personality, is really going to want to be through this collective value system that we identify as truth, but really is the truth based on the shared experience that we've had. And the challenge is that emotionally, though, what we're feeling is that we want to engage with all of it. We want to engage with the full gamut of experiences, not just the transmutational fire that comes from the shared experience of emotional bonding and intimacy and ritual. That's all really good. There's nothing inherently wrong with that. The challenge is that emotionally we don't want to be limited to just the action oriented, which is going to, that's the sun is our divine, it is masculine, it is expressive, it is action oriented, and Sagittarius is mutable fire. It's really going to be about us acting out of this. But emotionally, where the moon is, and the moon is very happy in Pisces, the moon is our water, and so it's the water in the water. We're just going to want to dissolve into all of it and experience all of it, which doesn't really lend itself very well to expressing and acting out of a collective truth that's based on a shared experience, as opposed to all of the experience, everything, right? This is going to be a real challenge as we go through the day. And then especially because the Venus is now moving into Scorpio. So a lot of water is in this in this week. And as much as Mercury has been moving through Scorpio now out of shadow, taking us into deeper realms, investigating deeper realms, we're going to have access to information about things that we haven't seen yet. That has to do with power dynamics and intimacy and what is really going on under the surface. It's going to become very real to us with Venus in Scorpio. Okay. She is at her detriment in Scorpio. She wants to be in Taurus, where it's all about nature and the natural world and what is valuable to us in that world. Scorpio is incredibly challenging because this is the realm of death and rebirth. Okay. And this is not a place that Venus likes to be. So it's going to become very real, very palpable, all the Scorpio energy, and it's going to be unavoidable at this point. We've expressed ourselves pretty well through this camaraderie and this collective experience. We've blossomed in our personality in a way, and Mercury now is taking us through these places in the mind and guiding us into these spaces. But it's, Mercury's able to move in and out of these spaces swiftly. Venus can't do that. This is going to become very real. It's going to become very, entrenched. It's going to become dense and slimy and murky. And Venus is just like, I don't like this at all. And so just be prepared that this is the beginning of that process. Now, yeah, it's so interesting. So as we go through the weekend, right? That was the 22nd, or that is the 22nd. Here we go. This is still the 22nd, right? And so we go through the first quarter. That was a crisis in action. What are we going to do? That's really what it is. What are we going to do? And the sun is all about what we're going to do. And so the how we feel about it is really going to provide the challenge, because how we feel about it is going to be like, we just want to dissolve into the whole experience. We just want to feel the whole experience. We want to be part, we want to commingle with everything, because that's where real truth is. And that's going to become a lot more apparent when the moon comes to meet Neptune and is in a trine to Mercury in Scorpio. That is going to be a direct transmission again. And we are going to be so sensitive to it and so psychically in tune to it at that point that it'll almost be unavoidable to get that message. Okay. But in the meantime, the sun or the moon is going to be moving through Pisces, is going to then trine. It's going to trine Venus right away after the square, actually. And again, we want to commingle. We want to emotionally and very personally just engage with the whole realm of existence. Okay. And in a trine to Venus, she's on that tour bus now. And we're going to feel it all, whether we like it or not. And once you're on the ride, you're not getting off the ride. And Venus feels all of it, every bump in the road, every turn that it makes. And gets weighed down and weighed down and weighed down because it just sinks like a stone, right? That's, because she does represent Taurus in the earth. And so just be prepared for that. And trines, they're very supportive. They're very functionally foundational. They don't necessarily mean it's good. It just means you don't have to do anything. So just, again, be prepared for that. Mercury is going to quincunx Mars. And again, where Mercury is at, there is a real, this is a moment for adjustment over the weekend, because Mars is moving forward. This is our personal warrior, actualizing ourself, actualizing our subjective experience, taking that desire to be, and the potency is so strong at this point. And Mars has been really gathering its energy from the natural world and is now moving forward with that potency. There is a familiarity here with Mars and Scorpio, because Mars used to be the ruler of Scorpio before Pluto was discovered. And so Mars does recognize the value of Scorpio, but only in the sense that there's hunger and intensity there. And Mercury Mercury here is there's a warmth of feeling with Mercury. We are intellectually engaging with the conscious choice to be in relationship, what that looks like, how we perceive that. And that doesn't really fit very well with Mars, because Mars is just acting on its own, like desire, right? Not about desire to merge with other, just desire to be. And these things are not going to fit together. So even right there, you're going to start to see where we need to adjust our expectations and where we want to put our energy, right? I mean, it's not that Mars is it's just so powerful here. Mars is just so powerful in its home sign. And so there will be an adjustment in this situation, okay? And beyond that, the moon is going to you can see this here, is going to be in a sextile to Uranus. And as the moon is moving through Pisces, we're going to start feeling, we're going to start losing a sense of self, like individual self, especially emotionally. You start to dissolve more and more and more because there are no boundaries here. That's why moon loves to be in Cancer, because Cancer provides the boundaries. In Pisces, there's no boundaries. So you're just dissolving into everything. Your water is becoming part of the ocean water, and it's one and the same. But at the same time, there is an expectation that there will be a rebirth, right? And the sextile here, emotionally, if we can remember that, if we can engage with that, if we can feel that even though we might be losing a sense of self and power, it's dissipating, it's dissolving in Pisces, what it can do is help us with this incredible disruptive energy that Uranus is consistently, acting on with the physical world around us in Taurus, right? And there is a rebirth coming, and Uranus is showing us the pathway of awakening and higher consciousness, specifically by trusting the natural cycles of the world, trusting nature and the fact that there will be a revival. Like, that is how the cycles work. It's not dark forever, right? It's not winter forever. Everything functions in a cycle. And so this is, again, this hangman energy is so strong and has been. And now that the moon's here, we're all each individually going to feel it so much more. And it's going to be a real challenge. But if we can recognize that even though we are going to dissipate so much into this collective experience, that we know that this is the signal actually to rebirth, that this will really help us enter the Stargate, right? Because that's really what Uranus represents, is the Stargate of the collective third eye, to awaken, right? And the constant disruption is forcing us to see that the path of our awakening is trusting the natural cycles, okay? That seems really clear to me over the weekend. Now, as we come into Monday, let's see here, we'll come into Monday, and the 23rd as well. So now you see here, this is where the moon meets Neptune, right? And this is the transmission, right? And is in a trine to Mercury. This is the same degree that the sun was trine to Neptune at 11:11, right? Now, who we are, who we want to be, the blossoming of our personality through the sun, was very much being, that blossoming of us was very strongly linked to the transmission of divine knowledge and truth through Mercury, the transmission from the guru. And it's not like a literal, well, it is literal, because the guru, we've passed the point now of the guru, because the guru really is actually, like, the master teacher is the Sagittarian energy, because there's a lot of wisdom here. And that is the past. We are becoming our own guru now, which is what the Gemini energy is really all about, and which is where we're headed. So, but Mercury, so we expressed ourselves through that, and now Mercury is going to be here, and it's much more about our own individual mind and the capacity for us to bring in a transcendent message, right? To channel, quite literally, this divine message. And the moon right here is going to make us so sensitive to it. It'll be almost unavoidable. And so this is a wonderful opportunity to get into that space. And if you have the opportunity to really get into meditative spaces, to get your energy into a place where you can go very deep, we're gonna each be able to pull through incredible messages. Now, the downside to this, or the thing to watch out for, is with the moon here, we do pull through stuff that isn't ours. So we have to be mindful of our boundaries and knowing the difference. And this is work that takes a long time. And if you haven't been working on this and you're just accepting whatever comes in as your higher guidance, you are really setting yourself up for being misled and deceived. And I have a lot of personal experience with this over the last couple of years, and it took a lot of painful situations to be able to sharpen my discernment. So that's the other thing too. But the good thing about Mercury is that it is sharp, right? It is sharp. Mercury is the realm of the mind and its intellect. So we do, as long as your mind has been, you're exercising your mind, your critical analysis skills, your discernment, then this is an amazing opportunity right here. And this is on the 23rd, not to mention the fact that the moon is right here as well. So the other aspect as we move forward is that the moon is then going to sextile Jupiter, which means that it's also going to sextile Pluto, and then again, sextile Saturn in all of these positions. And it can be a real cathartic moment for each of us emotionally. And we can really get a sense of where our limitations are, but also at the same time allowing ourselves to consolidate ourselves emotionally in order to really move through this rebirth process, because that's Pluto is representing that, right? Of course, Pluto is the transformer, right? The Lord of Death, and this is where transformation and power really comes from, is through Pluto. And Jupiter is the defender of our collective values. Jupiter is Zeus. It is the lawyer, right? And this whole legal process that's happening is very in line with the Sagittarian energy right now. And there will be movement here, especially with the sun coming into Sagittarius. But with the eclipse, it's not all it's cracked up to be. And it's really important that we remember that. So the moon then sextiles all of this Capricorn energy, and we are still, our boundaries are still being dissolved, but at the same time, as the moon gets closer and closer to Aries, the rebirth potential becomes stronger and stronger and stronger. And so the sextiles to all of this Capricorn and what's going on in the actual structures of reality and the letter of the law. Jupiter in Capricorn is the lawyer presenting the case to the judge, right? And Pluto is just, breaking down the matrix and transforming it. And of course, Saturn is, especially where Saturn is and where the moon sextiles Saturn. If we can read the writing on the wall, if we can read the tea leaves, because it is all there for us. Capricorn is not that hard to figure out because it is the matrix that we all live in. So if we can read the writing on the wall, we will emotionally be very aware of our abundance, and we will just allow ourselves to sink into this process and not be afraid to just lose ourselves in all of this, because we're going to come out in a rebirth process. Now, the other side to all of this, I'm giving a very positive and optimistic, very Sagittarius, right? Optimistic read of this. But the other side of this is just total martyrdom, right? Just like completely losing yourself into all of it, feeling like a victim, buying into the propaganda, like just taking in whatever anybody tells you and accepting that as your truth. That's also a real potential for all of this. But that's there. But I just feel like that I'm not speaking to who I'm speaking to at this point are people that want to take an active role and a conscious participatory role in all of this. And so where again, the Hanged Man, right? This is really where it's going to be put to the test, okay? And to trust what's going on up here in Capricorn. Jupiter is doing, like I said, the lawyers are presenting their cases to the judge. Pluto is tearing down every thread imaginable for transformation. And Saturn is just showing us there are things that we can't get around. And there is there's a code here. And there's nobody can mess with that, right? This is the Lord of Time. And so if we can read the writing on the wall, we will not be afraid to just dissolve into that one unified field and be ready for rebirth, because that's what's going to come when the moon moves into Aries, right? So that's what happens. The moon moves into Aries and then trines the sun almost immediately. And this is where we realize that the conflict is really just, we can see the conflict as a ritualization, right? A game, a chess game, if you will. And our emotional, personal contribution to this is to identify ourselves in the game, in the ritualization of the game, right? We don't have to necessarily completely identify ourselves, but we are going to identify ourselves emotionally with one of the sides of that chessboard, okay? And that's going to become very, very on the surface coming around on the 24th. And then the moon is going to meet Chiron, which is really going to start heating things up, okay? And then through the 25th, the moon is going to meet Mars as well. And then we're going to see these quincunxes with Mars and Venus. So Mercury is going to have a quincunx with the North Node in 21 degrees Scorpio. This is a soldier resisting orders of the authoritarian rule, because at that point, the soldier is more loyal to the bonds of his fellow soldiers or her fellow soldiers than the authoritarian rule. And this is going to create a need to adjust with the North Node, because the reason there's even a conflict to begin with and that you need soldiers is because there is Gemini dialectic, right? There's opposition of ideas. We don't live in a world where it's all collectivized, although that is what some people want, no diversity of ideas, but we can't create from that place, which is why separation is something we chose, separating from source, right? And consciousness develops as a result of that. Oh, I could talk forever about this. I have a whole thesis right now about this kind of stuff that I'll get into at some other point. The point is that when we get around to this adjustment will need to be made, because the authoritarian rule is it relies on this dialectic. It absolutely does. And so even though this is where we're headed, right, this is what we need to evolve, our each individual mental perspective, our thoughts, our ideas, the information that we are going to be exposed to, we're going to be like, no, it's more important to me that my loyalty is to my comrades, to the other soldiers in my unit, the people that I've built these bonds with as a result of the experiences we've gone through. And so again, adjustment will be made. Venus in a quincunx to Chiron just after the moon passes it. And again, adjustment will need to be made. And Venus is in Scorpio too. And this particular degree is, pulling yourself away from home with the promise of more value in something, which again is really hard for Venus to do, right? She wants to be at home. She wants to be in Taurus. She wants to be on her land in her element. And for her to tear herself away from that with the promise of something more, it is very appealing to her, right? She really has to value it more. And I think that is going to be the potential that we have in our shared experiences in Scorpio. And so again, this is not going to fit very well with where Chiron is in Aries, because I mean, it is just relentless in terms of, you know, this really strong urge to express ourselves through this wounding, through our role as a victim or savior. And Venus is like, enough. Like, I think I'm ready to pull away from where I'm comfortable and really search for something that has more meaning. This is hard for Venus. And the fact that she's even willing to do this is going to cause a lot of adjustment. There's going to be a lot of adjustment, because there's no room for this victim savior aspect when Venus is searching for more meaning in her relationships, in what she values, and the power in those relationships is very strong. And then the moon is going to meet Mars as well. So there you go. You like emotionally, just really, moon in Aries, a lot of temper flaring, a lot of hot emotions, right? A lot of, you know, fast, explosive energy, you know, like just firecrackers and stuff like that. It's just like bam, bam, like emotionally though. So tempers flaring, but also just as easily backing off. And so when the moon meets Mars, wow, we're going to really connect with our courage in that moment, right? Next is Thanksgiving. Okay. The 26th is Thanksgiving. Okay. Now, this is fascinating, because what do we have? The sun is going to trine Chiron. This degree, it'll be 6 degrees, right? Between 5 and 6 degrees. This is about group solidarity. And we're in trine to Chiron, right? So you have these two fire signs. You have the sun in a fire sign, so it's already very fiery, very active, and very transformative in its fire. It's very hot, right? And Chiron, obviously, in Aries, which is about just this really strong urge to really actualize ourselves through this wounding. Now, Thanksgiving, right? There's been a lot of focus lately on trying to get people not to gather if they're families with Thanksgiving, okay? Now, this is the same basic area that the sun is in every year for Thanksgiving in the United States, which is about group solidarity, right? Coming together and practicing this group solidarity, right? And it's abstraction as part of the early Sagittarius. The first half of Sagittarius is about the abstraction of what we felt with Scorpio into archetypes, into symbols. And games are an abstraction, right? They represent an abstraction of these collective experience and this group solidarity. But in trine to Chiron, right? What's a trine? Again, 120 degree angle, very, very foundational. You don't have to do anything for them to support each other. Now, whose rules are you following? That's really going to determine what this trine really represents. Whose rules are you following? What is the group that you are having solidarity with, right? Now, it really depends. It just depends on if you're working with Chiron actively or not. It really does. And when the moon hits Chiron the day before, that's going to give you a really good indication of where you're at emotionally when it comes to these roles of either victim or savior. How you are bypassing your own healing of yourself by one of these roles. And the whole point of not coming together for Thanksgiving is to quote unquote stop or slow the spread of the virus, right? The virus. So whose rules are you playing by? What group are you having solidarity with? Because that's going to determine if are you working with Chiron actively to identify, where your wounding is, and you're doing the shadow work, and you are seeing how you are playing these roles out in a way to bypass your own healing? Or are you actually working on healing these wounds so that you're not playing these roles? Well, I would say that if you are not coming together with people that you care about because you're trying to play by certain rules, i.e. the rules that say we want to keep you all isolated from your families on probably the most important holiday next to Christmas in the United States, then yeah, you are going to reinforce this Chiron wound, okay? Now, but if your solidarity and the rules you're playing by are not those rules, well, I'm guessing here that that is going to reinforce much more of an active participation in healing that Chiron wound, not playing a victim, not playing a savior. So that's my personal read on it, and that will become really obvious. And the moon in late Aries that day, tempers are flaring. Tempers are flaring. And that's the other thing too, people getting into it about politics at the table or whatever for Thanksgiving. That's another thing that's really going to inflame all of this. And with the moon in Aries, emotionally, yeah, people are going to be really set off. So just to know that Thanksgiving has such a potential to just blow if we are not mindful of what's going on. And then from there, and then the other thing too is the moon's going to square all of the Capricorn energy at that point. So while we are feeling very hot, very worked up, you know, in terms of our fire, self-actualization, our potency to be ourselves, it's going to cause a lot of conflict with what's happening up here in Capricorn. Again, Jupiter in Capricorn, Pluto in Capricorn, Saturn. These are things that we cannot get past. Okay, they are happening and it doesn't matter how we feel about them. And if anything, it's just going to, this tension here is just gonna, it's best to just lean right into it because we stand to learn a lot from that situation. But that's gonna be really hard on Thanksgiving. Okay. From there, the weekend, the 27th, this is when the moon moves into Taurus, right? Is going, look at this, it's going to meet Uranus, and Venus is going to be in a direct opposition to both of these. So where are we going to be over the weekend? Well, emotionally, the moon loves to be in Taurus, loves to be secure and happy and comfortable. It's kind of like being in Cancer, except it's a little bit more dense, right? Rather than a container for our water, it's more of like the soil that the water can seep into, but it's still comfortable. It's still something that the moon can really settle into, right? Which is, you know, then Uranus here. I mean, we're really just going to emotionally connect to all of this disruption, right? So the aftermath of Thanksgiving is right here. And Venus is going to show us the value of staying calm in our emotions, calming our relationships, right? Calming the tension within our relationships, because there is power there, regardless of, there's power there in those relationships, right? Two people, for instance, come together in some sort of partnership, and what they create is its own entity, its own energetic signature, and it's more powerful than each of these separate entities, right? And so Venus is really going to show us the value of being calm, being still, stilling the waters so that we can see clearly what's going on, because this is not going to be seeing clearly at all. This is going to be total emotional upset, right? From here on the 28th is when Neptune stations direct. And this is also when, let me go back. This is important. I almost missed it. And Mercury is going to sextile Pluto at the degree that the new moon was at. So Mercury will be at the degree that the new moon was at. So we'll have an intellectual, mental connection to that new moon. And Pluto is the transformer. It is the Lord of Death. It is the process that precedes the transformation, the rising of the ashes. And so Pluto is really going to give us this chance to really, at least mentally, engage with, well, how do we move forward from here? This is going to be that moment of, oh, this is the transformation, right? Especially with the moon right on top, oh my God, right on top of Uranus in an opposition to Venus. That's just like, stay calm, everybody stay calm, still the waters of our emotions so we can see clearly, because this is totally just upsetting the apple cart. And then you have on top of that Mercury that's like, oh, this is the transformation process. This is actually the moment of, the moment of everything burning down from Pluto, right? In order for the Phoenix to rise, because the next day is when the Kraken's released. That is when Neptune stations direct on the 28th. And you also see here that the moon is going to then sextile this as well as Neptune, because it's still in Taurus. So this, at least the moon wants to be comfortable. It wants, emotionally, we want to be comfortable. We want to, we want to feel safe and secure in our surroundings. And it's this is going, if we can feel safe and comfortable in our surroundings emotionally, like if we can find that place where we feel held, even despite everything that happened the prior day, this is really going to really help when Neptune stations direct, okay? And then the moon is also going to trine all the Capricorn energy. So again, at this moment, we can really start feeling safe, secure, emotionally comfortable in where we are, in our surroundings. And this is very much supported, and it's supporting us while this Capricorn energy is doing what it's doing, okay? And at the same time, Mercury then is going to sextile Jupiter as well. And it's the same basic idea that the same basic idea that Mercury is in late Scorpio, is really coming to is investigated so much. It's pulling it all back up to the surface. It's really, we are seeing a lot. We're seeing a lot that we had not seen before, and now it's unavoidable. And again, this is going to support Jupiter, the lawyer, who is presenting the case to the judge, Capricorn, right? Which is a hard position for Jupiter to be in. Jupiter wants to be in Sagittarius, where it can expand on its ideas, right? The law provides the structure. And so all Jupiter can do is be like, here are my expansive ideas. Here is my belief system, my truth. I am the defender of the collective values. Here, I offer it at the foot of the judge, of the karma and the matrix of reality. The Lord of Time. Wow, this is amazing. So the 29th, we move forward. So the Kraken has been released. We move into the 29th, and we see here that, again, Mercury is then going to sextile, it's still sextile Jupiter. The sun is going to quincunx Uranus, and this is when the rumblings of the volcano start to happen. You know what I mean? The psychic gestation under the surface. We are going to start riding that molten lava underneath, which is not going to fit at all with where Uranus is, which is literally like the earthquake. Okay. God, I wouldn't even be surprised. I don't want to put that out there, but I would not be surprised. The sun is our expression of who we are. And so we are expressing ourselves through this, the rumblings. The rumblings are happening by this point because and the moon is about to move into Gemini. So we come to the 30th. This is the full moon lunar eclipse, right? And the moon is in Gemini at this point, and it will meet the nodes. It's going to square Neptune and is going to meet the nodes right after, just hours after this lunar eclipse. And again, we are going to, and now the nodes have shifted degrees. And so we've gone from the tumult, and we've moved back into a place where we're in a buffet of ideas, because everything is just going to explode, that we might as well just enjoy and enjoy the buffet, right? There's going to be a myriad of potential ideas and options, and we have the chance to each emotionally, interface with those as well, because that's, again, where we're headed. It's just going to turn everything upside down, it feels like, and we are going to have an opportunity to really interface with some new potential ideas, or just any any new ideas. We have been sitting in this 20 degree of Gemini for so long at the North Node that it's just been so disruptive, and it's just been so hard on everybody. And so this, as much as this is going to be like a huge spewing, the upside is that we are then going to we get our choice at this point. Oh, look, there's all these different perspectives and ideas that we can interface with, and they're all here in front of us, and we just have to, you know, pick and choose what we want. You don't want to waste them, but at the same time, you know, you definitely, you know, don't load your plate too much, right? When you go to the buffet and you're just like, your eyes are bigger than your stomach, and you're just like, yeah, I want this, and I want this, and I want this, and then you end up throwing it away. Be mindful of that, but also emotionally, we have all the options that we could ever want in this situation. And that is the upside of this volcanic spewing of transformational fire. So, whew, that is it. That is the weekly astrology. Thanks for hanging in there. That was a lot of information. And if you like this content, you find it helpful, please consider subscribing to the channel. Definitely smash that like button. It definitely helps and influences the algorithm, so this content can get out to other people that it may help. Astrology is probably one of the best tools we have right now, because everything else seems to be failing us. And in the description box below is information on social media, contact, email, and then website, so that you can reach out and book a reading. I have astrology readings, Reiki treatments, and intuitive readings. I go live on Facebook every morning with an intuitive read as well, that ends up being a really nice addendum to the daily astrology that I put on YouTube. So you guys have a great weekend. If you're watching this before the weekend, take care of yourselves, and yeah, I love you so much. I'll see you on the next video. Bye.